Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today we are doing a tier list of the hard sellers, hard buyers, soft sellers, and soft buyers, or if your teams are both for the NHL. So today, you want to, we're talking about where they stand, and the list is completely randomized. So we'll be ripping off these guys really quickly, and just some of the pieces they could be selling or could be trading for. Are they hard buyers, hard sellers? Could they do both? Right? Depends on the position that they're in my opinion. So if you wanna hear more content, NHL content like this, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter and all that jazz, on YouTube, Spotify. Leave a rating. I really appreciate it. Let's just jump right into it. So for the people who are on audio, I'm going to be reading out the teams. So here we go. So we have the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, these guys, hard buyers. We've already seen them they already traded out both their starting goalies from the start of the year, Georgiev and Noonan, right, for Wedgwood and Blackwood. They traded out Mikko Rantanen. They got back Natchez and Drury, right? Like we just saw them do the Ryan Lindgren trade. These guys are absolutely hard buyers. They're going to be going full blown and trying to win this year, and they absolutely should because they're doing well in the standings and everything. So I think it just makes a ton of sense for them to just go all in on it and everything. So we go to Colorado Avalanche. We are going hard buyers. So we went to the Vancouver Canucks. To me, I want to say, because they're in a weird spot in the Western Conference, they're in the second wildcard spot. But they're fighting against Calgary, St. Louis, and Utah in that mix and everything. I think they should be. So you got to make a decision on Elias Pettersson. It's all about that. To me, I think they should move on from Elias Pettersson before his no movement clause kicks in. Just because I think that's gonna be hard to do. I mean, you're not going to win it, I don't think. But I mean, to me, I think they should be soft selling. They should be moving off of Brock Besser and just kind of getting guys that are going to be here for the future, similar to what Buffalo's trying to do. I think Buffalo would be a great trading partner for them, right? Maybe a Dylan Cousins or something like that. I think that would be like a ton of sense. So I think they should soft sell, because I think they should move on from Elias Pettersson. If you're going to keep Elias Pettersson, you might as well keep Brock Besser as well. So give him that extra term, because you're going to have him for a long, you'll have Elias Pettersson for a long time. You're going to have Quinn Hughes for a long time, hopefully. And you might as well just keep Brock Besser, because you're not going to find a guy like that, a winger like that, to replace him. So again, in my opinion, sell. Get rid of Brock Besser, get rid of Elias Pettersson, and bring in some guys who want to be here and who are ready to win in this type of market and everything. So New Jersey Devils. So to me, I think they could do, I think they're going to be buying, right? They're going to be a soft buyers. I don't think they're going to do big game swinging. They are tied, or they're in the third spot in the Metropolitan with the Carolina Hurricanes. They both have 72 points. To me, I can see them buying, right? I think they're a soft buy. They're not going to big swing. I think they got some good players that are coming up with good development and everything. But to me, I think they're just not ready to make that big swing. They already did some decent acquisitions with Markstrom in the offseason. Of course, they brought in Hamilton a while ago. They brought in Brett Pesce as well. I think they don't need too much. I think there's some around the edges, but I think with Washington being such a big competitor in Carolina as well, I don't know if it's time for the New Jersey Devils to do it. Just it's not their year, because their players are still so young. Unlike the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes, where their guys are a little bit older, they have to make those bigger swings because they're running out of time. I think New Jersey has plenty of time, so I don't think it's time to go big game hunting. But I think they can definitely do some stuff around the edges. I think it just make more sense. So especially because they have good assets like Simon Nemec down in the AHL, maybe they could use him to flip for a big piece. But you got to get a guy with some term as well, not just a rental. Don't sacrifice your third overall pick like that for a rental. It would not make sense to them. So moving on to the Washington Capitals, hard buyers, absolutely. I mean, we saw them do a ton of moves this past offseason. Traded for Chikrin. They bought on Matt Roy in free agency. They traded for Mangiapane. He hasn't really worked out, right? But to me, Capitals, I mean, they're going all in. They're completely dominating the NHL. Them and the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets have 88 points. Washington Capitals 84 points. By the way, no one saw this coming with the Capitals. We saw them being better, but not this good, and they should absolutely hard buy. They should go for Rantanen. They should go try and talk to Carolina about getting Rantanen, right? Talk about trying to get Mitch Marner. I think they should go full blown, go all out, because why not, right? And they're doing a great job on the retool. I'm really impressed with the Capitals, and I think they could probably keep a lot of the success, at least playoff success, even if Ovechkin leaves the team. So we will see there as well. So the LA Kings. So LA Kings are in an interesting spot because, of course, if the playoffs started today, they, of course, who would they be playing? The LA Kings. Now, mind you, I think the LA Kings could take the LA Kings would be versing the Edmonton Oilers. I apologize, but to me, the LA Kings, their stuff is not this trade deadline. I think they need some in the offseason. Supposedly, they are one of the teams that are in on Mikko Rantanen. I think that's, again, I mean, every team should be in on Mikko Rantanen. I think the LA Kings are a team that has the money. I think they can do the deferred payment, kind of like we saw Anaheim doing with Vetrano. I think it's a big market team. They can give him the money that he wants, and I think they can spread it out long term. I think this makes a ton of sense. I think the LA Kings, because of how valuable the franchise is, they should absolutely be going. To me, this season, I don't know if they should go. Well, they're older. They're in a weird spot. I think because you have the Quentin Byfield as well. I think we're gonna go soft buyers. I don't know. It's a full blown like swing, because you have teams like you have Vegas, although Vegas has some injuries. Edmonton Oilers has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, of course, as well. But if you can overcome their goaltending, I mean, to me, I think I'm still not feeling big swings. I think there's some good pieces here. I think just soft buy. I think just get a couple pieces to shore up and everything. You have like, I don't think you start trading. Don't go crazy. Start trading those young defensemen either, right? I think they should absolutely just take their time. Soft buy. I think there's some good pieces, and there's, again, kind of similar to the New Jersey Devils, where they have some really good pieces that just need to, like, they're developing, right? The Quentin Byfields are now starting to pop off and everything, right? And that trade for Kemper and Pierre-Luc Duval look really good. But again, soft buy. I think that just kind of makes more sense. Just kind of be in the mix and everything, and don't go too crazy. New York Rangers, they are hard buyers, and we saw that with the JT Miller trade that they did with the Vancouver Canucks. They were huge and heavy. They just traded out Ryan Lindgren, got a second round pick, Calvin DeHaan, and who else? I forget who it was. Anyways, no big deal. But the thing is because New York Rangers are doing that, they're showing that they're trying to make some moves. They're trying to be in the mix, right? And of course, they're trying to be in the mix because to me, they're actually decently far out of the playoff spot in comparison to teams, right? There are 3 teams that are still fighting for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, and New York Rangers are behind those 3 teams with Montreal Canadiens, Boston Bruins, and Ottawa Senators. Ottawa Senators are only 5-5 in the last 10, though. Boston Bruins are 3-5-2. Canadians are 5-5 in their last 10, but they're a 4-game winning streak, right? And Rangers again struggling as well, 4-4 in their, or 5-5 in their last 10. So to me, I think the New York Rangers this could be a quick retool, right? You take the assets and you take them and you flip them for stuff in the offseason. You try and move out like Zibanejad, try and make different moves and everything. So I think this would be better. I mean, they're going to hard buy. I think they should do a quick retool on the fly, kind of like what Washington's doing. But I think because of the moves of picking up JT Miller and everything, you can tell this team is absolutely serious. So we're putting them in the hard buyers category because that they're signaling it. They're making the moves. They're doing similar to what Colorado's doing, right? Making a ton of moves and everything, which I love, right? We want to see the action. We want to see guys on the move because we want to see these guys trying to play for something. So speaking of playing for something, the Anaheim Ducks, what are they playing for right now? They're not in the bottom of the Western Conference. I mean, they're definitely in the bottom 5 for sure. So, I mean, they're not a Kraken, they're not a Nashville, Blackhawks, or a San Jose Sharks, but these guys should be soft selling, right? These guys have some players that they can absolutely, they could be selling on. And so to me, I think you're not going to see the big ones like Zegras or anything. But there's a couple of guys that I think that it just makes sense. A couple of guys are on the edges, like a Brian Dumoulin could be one of those, right? I mean, you have guys that are starting to take over in the mix, like a Jackson Lacombe, right? You're gonna let McTavish kind of come up in there as well. Maybe if you can trade a Brock McGinn, right? Or Robbie Fabry. I know he's on IR as well. But these are some guys that you can absolutely just flip, get a couple pieces here and there. Nothing too crazy, right? And just kind of just fiddle around the edges. You have a lot of good depth. It's a lot of young players that are coming up. So don't do anything crazy. But I think this is something that they could absolutely do. They might even be in the both category where they might be soft buying just to bring in guys bring in some guys, but I think they're not really fighting for playoff spots. So you're not going to go for rentals. You're going to go with guys with some term. So to me, I think just stick with the soft sellers for the Anaheim Ducks. Move on to the New York Rangers. These guys New York Islanders. These guys should hard sell. To me, these guys need a hard rebuild. I think these guys are not going to be. They're just not in a good spot right now. They're third in the Eastern Conference with 61 points. Are they kind of in the mix? Yes, because they're 5 points out from the Detroit Red Wings from a playoff spot. But to me, the season gets late really quickly, right? And you have 5 days before this trade deadline is coming up. It is Sunday now, and the trade deadline is happening on a Friday. So to me, the New York Islanders need to make these trades now. I think you're looking at guys like Noah Dobson went down for a bit, Matt Barzal, right? Like, so when you're looking at some of these guys that are injured, they were hella lineup. There was talks about trading Noah Dobson, which is kind of crazy to me. This is a guy that's going to get $9 million in the offseason for an 8-year deal. If he signs an 8-year deal, maybe plus. So you have a Romanov who is an RFA as well.
I think you re-sign him as well. I mean, you flip a Tony DeAngelo, you flip a Scott Perunovich, right? You Matt Martin. If you can, like you're going to get rid of Brock Nelson for sure. You probably end up getting a first round pick for him. Kyle Palmieri, you can get like a second or third round pick from him. Guys, hard sell, get some assets. I mean, Matt Barzal, mind you, is 27, right? So let's say you spend 2 years doing a soft retool, kind of like what we saw the Rangers do, where they picked up Capo, they picked up Lafreniere, they picked up Cheadle, they picked up some guys, and then they quickly now look at New York Rangers. They've been in the conference finals before. So just to give you an idea of what this can be, the Islanders have some decent pieces, but I think there's not enough good prospects coming up that you need to be able to bring in guys right now. So hard sell, get your assets while you can, and then just pick a direction, because right now it just doesn't feel like they're directionless right now. So the Detroit Red Wings, I think this is a both, right? This is a team that is fighting for the playoff spot. They're currently in the second wildcard spot, but they had a tough 2 games against the Columbus Blue Jackets this past week on Thursday and Saturday, especially with the outdoor game. We just saw that Columbus was just taking them with a little bit higher effort. I mean, of course, it's one of the teams that has the best 5-on-5 goal scoring ability in the league. The Red Wings need a little bit of help, right? They need a little bit of defensive help. They need a little bit of depth help as well. With the scoring, we're seeing a lot of top line guys producing on that first power play, of course, but penalty kill is 32nd in the league, right? And I think your goaltending's fine. I think you're going to leave it as it is. And you get that Alex Lyon go in free agency, unless someone wants to give you a first round pick for him, which you're not going to, right? But this team has earned their way into a playoff spot. I think it's one of those teams that deserves to kind of fight for it. You give them a little bit of encouragement by bringing in a guy, not for anything crazy, maybe a third or fourth round pick, maybe a second round pick. But I mean, I would even say no on a second round pick. Just spend a little bit to bring someone in, tell the guys that, hey, we have confidence in you, right? And this is what we saw last year. Last year with the Red Wings, they only moved off of Klim Kostin. That's because they wanted to move out draft capital for cap space for the next year. And so to me, I think this just makes more sense. I think you bring in a guy, just give him more confidence. And Red Wings should either buy a little bit, get a guy with term, a Dylan Cousins, some of those guys, a Bowen Byram, where you can sign him. He's an RFA, and then sell a couple pieces off that you're maybe not going to need long term, right? Like a Joe Veleno or a Rasmussen, maybe a Tarasenko. You move off of him because he's not working out. Same with a Gustafson. So we can do something like that. Seattle Kraken, though, we're going in them. Seattle Kraken absolutely should be a hard seller. And to me, I think that they should move a couple guys in, because the thing is they're not in a position where they're fighting for a playoff spot or anything. They're currently, I think they're bottom 5. They're bottom 4 in the Western Conference. So to me, I think you move up some guys. I think some guys are just not really showing that they are the players right now. I think you're going to try and move up Yanni Gourde, hopefully get a second round pick for him. Brandon Tanev, try and make some money for him. He's 33 years old. You're not going to re-sign him. Capo looks like he's working out really well, but you're not going to trade him either, right? So I think maybe that's a hard sell. I think it's a soft sell because I'm looking at some of the pieces you're going to be moving. It's only going to be really 2 pieces in the Yanni Gourde and the Brandon Tanev. So is it a hard sell? No, I guess not. But again, just get some guys out, get some good assets out here. Keep working at it. Keep trying to build around this. I think you can get a good second, third round picks for Brandon Tanev and Yanni Gourde. So, and moving on, we're going to talk about the Boston Bruins. To me, this is a hard sell, and this is Boston Bruins. I think that you guys should hard sell, and the reason being that you have a good opportunity to change over the roster and get some good pieces for your future and for some guys that are maybe not working out. Trent Frederick is drawing a lot of attention right now. Maybe that's a guy you can get a good second round pick for. Brad Marchand, I think this is a good culture shift, which we know Boston Bruins already have a good culture. But I think this is one of those things where you need the next wave of guys who need to step up and take responsibility for the team. I think Brad Marchand's done a great job of keeping what Bergeron and Chara left of the team, and Krejci. But to me, this is a new team. You have a Merkulov, you have a John Beecher, you have Morgan Geekie, right? Like there's Matthew Poitras, right? Mark Kastelik. Like these are guys in their young prime that'll be the next wave of guys to take over this team. And Brad Marchand needs to pass that torch on to a Charlie McAvoy, a David Pastrnak as captains or anything. And plus, with 2 big guys out of the lineup in long-term injury reserve with Hampus Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy being out from the Four Nations tournament on IR. This is the defense is really decimated, and this could be a good opportunity to move off of guys who are drawing a lot of attention right now, like Brandon Carlo potentially. There's a lot of things that you can do to help rechange and reshape this team over, and then such that like when in like a year or two, when like similar to the New York Rangers, you can still be good, right? But the Boston Bruins being out of the lineup, and they're literally 2 points out of a playoff spot, but they're going to be fighting with not just this year, but the next couple of years with the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Rangers, the Ottawa Senators, right? Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Floridas, the Torontos. This is a good time for Boston to decide, hey, we're a little bit older. We should retool, right? And then come back even stronger because, Buffalo is hopefully going to be better, right? In the Atlantic Conference. Like everyone's going to start to get really much better. There is no tanking team there's no officially like tank bottom 5 team in the Atlantic Conference. They're all either on the upswing or trying to stay relevant. And the Boston Bruins are one of those teams. I mean, we saw with Tampa Bay, they moved on from Stamkos and they brought in Jake Gensel. That seems to be working out really well for them, especially the way Stamkos' season is going. But the Boston Bruins are going to take this opportunity to say, hey, nope, we're going to retool. So I think they should hard sell and flip over some guys and let the next wave of guys take over this team. Again, they've been so successful for so long. But to me, it is time. And in the last 10, they're 3-5-2. So like, again, it's getting a little too close. You got to make the decision. You got to pull the trigger. And I think, honestly, when you let go of Brad Marchand, you actually let go of Don Sweeney and Cam Neely as well within the organization. I don't think they'll let them go, but I think they'd be a great turnover of the team. Not a full rebuild, but a retool of the team. You still have great pieces, but a lot of these pieces are older, and your prospect pool is not looking amazing, right? But you can kind of revitalize that with a couple of good pieces. So, well, the Montreal Canadiens, soft sellers. I mean, nothing too big. You're going to be moving out some pieces and everything, but again, you're looking at Jake Evans. You're looking at a Joel Armia. You're looking at a Mike Matheson as well. A couple of guys, Christian Dvorak, who has a 18 no trade list, right? These are some UFAs that you can get some moves on. These are not going to be part of the long-term plan, right? Dvorak's 29, Armia's 31. Jake Evans, they said they could keep him. I think they're just being silly. I think that their goal is to actually get an asset for him. David Savard, 34 years old, make some money on him, or get a good prospect for him, right? Maybe it's like not even a soft. Maybe it's a soft sell, right? Because you're just getting off older pieces. But again, this is not, you're not moving out any integral pieces. Maybe if you want, you could do like a new hook, but I think they still think that he's a good integral part of the team. So to me, I just think it's a good soft sell. Move off a couple pieces that are not going to be a little older, not going to be on here long term. And just build around the guys that you have coming up, like the Slavkovskys, right? Like the Cole Caulfield, like the Nick Suzuki, and Patrick Laine. He's still in his prime. He's only a year younger than a year older than Nick Suzuki. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to just make some good moves here. So Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, we're already seeing it. They're already in that hard sell mode, right? When you move off a guy like Seth Jones, you're in a hard sell mode, and with the rest of the pieces that they have, they can move. They'll get a couple pieces here and there. I mean, there's like an Andreas Anthony. You can probably get like a 3rd round pick for him, right? Maybe you move an Ilya Mikheyev if you can get something for him as well. Kurashev, you're going to resign. You're going to sell off on Donato. You're going to sell off on Pat Maroon, right? You'll sell off on a Craig Smith. Just a lot of like Alex Martinez, a lot of UFAs who are older. Again, Alex Martinez is 37, right? Craig Smith is 35. Sell him, right? Ryan Donato's 28. You don't want to give him that big contract. Good, get some assets from him. He's playing really well. So I'm gonna say hard sell on the New York Rangers as well, or New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks. Goodness gracious, Philadelphia Flyers. I think they should be trying to hard sell. Because why not? You're in the middle of a rebuild. Some of the pieces that you're looking at, you're just like, okay, are you going to keep him long term, right? Like an Andrei Kuzmenko. You brought him in to see if he's working with the Matt Michkov, and to me, because they used to play on the same team together, right? If you're looking at right now, he's got 3 points in 5 games. That's decent, right? Like, is he a guy that you can see long term? He has 29, right? So if someone's gonna be like, hey, I'll give you a 4th or 5th round pick for Andrei Kuzmenko, you probably should just keep him. If he doesn't demand that much money in his next contract, give him like a 2-3 year deal. I think you just keep him. But if he's not willing to sign like a short-term contract with them, like move on from him. You're not gonna lock these guys in for long contracts at he's making $5.5 million right now. Like you're not gonna give him like a $6.5-7 million year contract for 5-6 years. Like if you give him like a 2, 3, 4 year contract, that makes a little bit more sense. So that Michkov has someone to play with, and a good translator as well, right? And more familiar with as well. So. But again, Noah Cates, you're going to re-sign him. I mean, and then of course, Erasmus Ristolainen was talked about as a guy that people were looking for. I don't know if they're going to get anything for him. I guess the market on him is pretty low, but it's hard sell as much as you can because you're rebuilding right now. You're in the middle of a rebuild. In rebuilds, you hard sell, right? And even though they had some good luck earlier in the season, they are now 4th in the Central. They're only 4 points out of a playoff spot to me, but I think when you start selling some of those other pieces, I mean, they're 4-4-2 in their last 10. Just not worth it. Just sell as much as you can, right? So, Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, this is an opinion of mine. I think they're going to end up. They're already starting to see as hard sellers. They already moved out their big piece in Marcus Pettersson. I think they should be moving out even more pieces. Unfortunately, a guy like Michael Bunting went out long term went out on injured reserve, so I don't think he's going to be a piece that they're going to be looking to move with this trade deadline. And he actually has this year and next year, which is a bummer for them too. But I think they can move out. I mean, there's plenty of guys they can move out on, like an Anthony Beauvillier, Imama. They picked up a Tomasino. They're probably going to re-sign him. You can move out a Matt Grzelcyk. You can move out like a Ryan Shea. Like there's enough guys in here that you can move out on. They should try. I mean, again, these are just the UFAs though, and a couple of guys that may not be being part of their long-term plan. They should be trying to sell on an Erik Karlsson, on a Crystal Tang. Send Erik Karlsson to Ottawa Senators. Send Crystal Tang, I don't care where, right? Evgeny Malkin is a 3C. Like, you can get a good pay piece for him. If you want to build around Sidney Crosby, then that's what you do, right? If you can't get Evgeny Malkin to waive his no-move clause, then that's what you have to deal with, unfortunately. And Crystal Tang, you really couldn't even trade until 26, 27 when he's a 10-team no-trade list. So, I mean, again, I think and Evgeny Malkin, you can't even trade. He's not even up till 26, 27. So, I mean, you're kind of stuck with these contracts, unfortunately, but I think you sell off on a Rickard Rakell because he's a long-term contract. But again, you're trying to rebuild this team around a Sidney Crosby, and you need young pieces to do that. Hard sell Rickard Rakell, who had he's having a phenomenal year. He's only getting older. He's 31 years old, and he's going to probably fetch you the most out of the assets that you have besides like a Gino or a Sidney Crosby or a Letang, because Rickard Rakell is playing very well this year. And he had a really good showing with the Four Nations tournament. So moving on to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They should be a both soft buyer and a soft seller. And when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets, they have some pieces that they should be selling because they are still coming out of rebuild, right? They had a hardship with Johnny Gaudreau going down and or passing away this summer. But to me, like, you have some good guys that are out right now. That makes it a little bit more difficult that you're kind of you're in the playoff spot still, right? You're in that second or that first playoff spot, but you have Sean Monahan who's on IR. You have a Igor Chenikov who's on IR. You have Eric Branson who's on IR. Kevin LeBanc as well. So like, there's still a lot of good pieces. A Denton Matejchuk, right? Dante Fabro. But you can move out like a Dante Fabro or an Ivan Provorov. I think you can honestly get a first round pick for Ivan Provorov. It'd be a low first round pick, right? You're not going to get I don't think the Islanders are going to trade you for Provorov or anything. But again, if you can sell Provorov, and I think there's talks about him wanting to sign an extension here, which is great. But again, I think right now you say, hey, we're going to trade you. Let's sign you in the offseason, dude. Because to me, like the first round pick that you're going to get for him is going to be absolutely more worth it than for the long-term plan than it is short-term of a guy signing him a 28-year-old for 5, 6, 7 years. So to me, they should be trying to sell, but again, bring in pieces that, again, similar to the Red Wings, they should be selling some of these pieces, but sell a Provorov for a good price, right? If they're going to offer you a third round pick for a Provorov, you say no. Even a second, you need a second plus to be able to, in my opinion, get a B-level prospect for Provorov. But it should be coming with a first round pick, in my opinion. And then you bring a guy in, maybe again, like the Red Wings. This team has played really well this year. So you bring in guys, you trade low on some guys, for a third, fourth round picks just to secure around these guys. But you want to keep the core around here. And I don't know if Provorov is part of the long-term core. But that'd be really interesting to see what happens with that. And you can retain on him as well. If you retain half on him because all the cap space you have, getting a Provorov for a $2.35 million, it'd be phenomenal. I mean, you could get so much back for him. So that's what my opinion on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's take a quick break right here, and we'll come back in just a hot second with a quick commercial break from DraftKings. You know, might not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. You know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. And if you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick up something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's just that easy. Now we got some tournaments coming up. We got the Puerto Rico Open, the Players Championship, the Valspar Championship, the Texas Children's Houston Open. Maybe you can bet versus Stefan Jaeger to win. Maybe a little Scotty Scheffler or a little Bryce Garnett. You know, whatever it is, you can get in on the action. And here's something special for first timers. New to DraftKings customers, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. And we are back, and we're talking about the St. Louis Blues. Now, talking about them, there's a lot of talks about them doing some big selling. I think they should soft resell. I don't think they need to sell a farm yet. I think they got some good players. There's talks about them moving to Robert Thomas potentially. Like there's talks about, of course, Radim Faksa is in UFA, so that makes more sense. But I think there's a lot of great pieces here that you don't really want to sell, like a Braden Shen. There's talks about trading him as well. Mind you, I don't know if you want to trade a guy like him yet. He is 33. I mean, I don't know. He's your captain. It's hard to decide when you trade your captain, because to me, you can't do it on the downturn. It's got to be, you have to say, hey, next year we're on the up, right? You can't just be like, because they've been currently selling off since they sold off on Tarasenko and Ryan O'Reilly, which was a couple of years ago at this point. But if you're the St. Louis Blues, you have to say, okay, we've sold. Like it's interesting because you brought in a guy like Cam Fowler from the Anaheim Ducks. So you're buying, right? You're bringing guys in here. But then you want to sell your captain. You want to sell other pieces. It's kind of a little confusing right now. So I'm curious on what the St. Louis Blues should do. I mean, soft selling is probably the move. But again, if there's a market for a guy like Braden Shen, I mean, it'd be a high price, right? I mean, you're looking at a guy who has a full blown no trade clause. Next year has a 15-team no trade clause. So to me, because he's signed until 2028 and he's 33 years old, I think this is a more of a summer deal that's going to happen with Braden Shen. And because he has so much team control, they're not going to get whoever wants him. Let's say Toronto wants him, he doesn't want to go to Toronto. Then that's a guy that's not going to decide, hey, I don't want to go, and he's going to shut that down. So, and in the summer, maybe he's a little more apt to it, right? It's similar to what we saw with Jacob Trouba last year. He had a full blown no move clause. So he's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And then July 1st hits, and then suddenly it's a 16-team no trade clause. And now they're like, hey, we're going to move you, just let you know. We're going to send you this team. So he had to waive. They kind of forced him to waive it. And again, I don't think you want to do that to your captain, Braden Shen. Mind you, New York Rangers did it to their captain. But I think the Blues want to learn from the New York Rangers and say, hey, we don't want to be like them, and just soft sell. I think you sell a little harder in the summer when you have a little more time and a little more space. People are bidding a little higher, I think, maybe at the draft, and then that way you can decide how high you want to go and where you're going to end up drafting with that next draft pick. So Calgary Flames, I think this is a kind of a bull situation because they're fighting for a wild card spot right now. If we're looking at where they're at in the Western Conference, they are right outside of the playoff spot behind Vancouver by 1 point. So I think there's a both, right? I think they already did some of their soft selling or their selling already when they ended up trading for Morgan Frost and who was the other guy? I can't think of his name. Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. That's who it is. So they ended up picking up those guys for a good little price. And I think they're going to re-sign Morgan Frost as well. He's an RFA this year, at the end of this year anyways. So they'll have team control. But again, you can like maybe sell on Kevin Rooney. Again, Anthony Manthan's out on LTIR, so they're not going to get him back, right? Same with Kirkland. But again, you got some young guys coming up here, right? Adam Klapka, Connor Zary. You have Connor Zary, sorry. You have Kevin Ball, right? Like there's some good pieces here. You just soft sell a couple pieces. Again, more so maybe just the there's not really anyone to soft sell, really. I mean, but maybe, yeah, you can do a little bit of buy, right? So you can soft sell a little bit. Again, some of these guys, there's not really much, like I said, there's not much to sell though. There's actually more. Maybe there's soft buy then. Let's move to soft buy. Hey, I can admit when I'm wrong. Soft buy, again, don't spend a ton. Don't, try and get guys some term, right? But again, these guys can be fighting for a playoff spot. They've had a hot start. They've looked really well. Just, Dustin Wolf looks phenomenal. If you want to sell on Dan Vladar, that's fine too, right? You get a good draft pick for him. I can see that as well. But I think soft buyers, I think the guys have earned it. I think that wouldn't be a bad thing to get a good rental piece. The Calgary Flames. So let me know what your thoughts are. So Vegas Golden Knights, hard buy. I mean, these guys have guys on LTIR like Shea Theodore, who supposedly will be coming back before the playoffs or around the playoffs, right? Crazy. It's like you learned that from Mark Stone or something like that. Mark Stone, by the way, who is healthy, which is phenomenal. But you're seeing like a guy like William Karlsson on LTIR as well. Cole Schwint. But again, these guys are overall pretty good. You have a good tandem in Ilya Samsonov and Aiden Hill. Like, I mean, these guys should be looking to upgrade though. I mean, if they can get a little better goaltending, maybe with Ilya Samsonov, who let's look how he's been doing. He's not been good. 24 games, 887 save percentage, and a 291. He's a backup, right? And then you have Aiden Hill, who was the backup for the Four Nations tournament in Canada. 903 and a 2.559. Don't love it, right? I mean, they're fine, right? If you continue to put up good points. So maybe they'll upgrade on the backup goalie right there. And then they signed a Brendan Saad, right? Like Victor Olofsson. Like if you could upgrade, Vegas is always looking to upgrade. They're always hard buyers every year. We saw this with the Tomas Hertl deal, which came out of nowhere from the San Jose Sharks. And again, we could see a huge move again. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in on Mikko Rantanen as well. So it's honestly crazy. So Carolina Hurricanes, I want to say both. I really do want to say both because to me, I think Mikko Rantanen could work out. I think you pay. So I think that there's what they will do and what they think they should do. To me, the decision is I think they should keep Mikko Rantanen and they should pay him the money that he wants because you already let Jake Gensel go and he's doing phenomenal with Tampa Bay Lightning. And you paid all that capital for him, right? Now you paid all this capital for Mikko Rantanen, and it's like, well, you already did this, right? You already showed you wanted him. You have a strong Finnish connection in Carolina. Again, so does Dallas and so does Florida. And to me, it's Carolina. You have a harder time drawing free agents. So to me, you should be hard buying. You already brought in Mikko Rantanen. Hard buy. Do some upgrades in goaltending. And just a couple things around there. Like to me, it makes more sense because you don't have a lot of cap space, but and they already are hard buyers, right? Because they did the big move with Rantanen. But again, you might as well just go a little harder. Supposedly they have an extension for Taylor Hall coming as well, right? Like can extend Mikko Rantanen. But if you're not going to keep him, in my opinion, you have to flip him. And you have to retain half and you have to try and get a ton of stuff back so that you can either be good next year and absolutely go for it, or you say, hey, or just go for it this year and get a big piece back. I mean, you have like a Dmitry Orlov down in your lineup for defense. Brent Burns, like your defense is looking actually pretty old right now. You have a 33-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 39-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 31-year-old, and a 28-year-old. Like that's an older defense core. So to me, maybe you upgrade on defense and you upgrade on like you do what a Colorado Avalanche did. They got a Natchez and a Drury, right? They got a bottom six guy and a top six guy. So if you do something like that, where you get like a top six guy and like another defenseman, like that might work out well for you long term if you're Carolina. To me, again, I think you should continue to hard buy for something, right? Do the upgrade while you have a Mikko Rantanen, who is an absolute killer, as we saw in Colorado. So he's still struggling after the trade, but I think overall he will settle in because they have a big Finnish culture. I think that's going to be huge for him in the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, another place that has a hard time drawing free agents. So moving on to the next piece, we have the Winnipeg Jets. Hard buy. They're number one in the league. This is not even a question. They don't need to upgrade in goaltending. Their defense looks really good. Their forward depth needs a little bit more as well, but they have a ton of cap space already. They have a projected cap space for the deadline is 12 million, so they can add a huge player if they want to. And to me, like you have Alex Iafallo and Nick Ehlers, and Nate Mason Appleton all on all UFAs. Maybe they sell a little bit and they buy, right? But you're basically gonna take these guys who are UFAs and bring in that big fish. So again, Winnipeg Jets are another team that I could see just buying massively because again, like Carolina has a hard time bringing in UFAs. So you do it through trade. You sign them a long-term contract. You get guys with term already. So I think Winnipeg Jets absolutely buy. You were having a phenomenal year. I was a doubter. I'm a huge Jets hater. I love Connor Hellebuyck, but I did not like the direction of them signing Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck. I think Connor Hellebuyck got underpaid. I think Mark Scheifele got overpaid. It worked out. You got a great goaltender under a great price. But again, I'm very proud. I'm very impressed. And if I could stick my foot in my mouth, I would. I'm currently trying to pull it on my own ass. So anyways, good for you, Jets. So Tampa Bay Lightning, I think you should soft buy. I think there needs to be some upgrades. I think they're doing pretty well. They're solidly in that third spot right now. They have a little bit of cap space. They have $6 million in cap space for the deadline. And you have a phenomenal top, your top six with Anthony Cirelli, Hagel, Gensel, Point, Kucherov. I mean, even Nick Paul's looking phenomenal. Maybe you can upgrade on the depth a little bit. But again, I think Seth Jones would have been a great addition if you guys had done that as well. Supposedly they're looking into Alex Tuck in the Buffalo Sabres. So that's a guy they can kind of line up as I think he's a center as well. So if you can upgrade the center a little bit, maybe a third line center there. That'd be phenomenal for them. A little soft buy again. And nice thing about Alex Tuck is he has this year and next year. So he's not just a rental for just this year. Maybe pay a little bit more, kind of like a Brandon Hagel, where you saw the potential in him and you got that extra year, which is why you traded 2 first-round picks to Chicago for Brandon Hagel. Absolutely see something like that. I think that'd be huge for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so that'd be a really good move. Toronto Maple Leafs, they are trying to buy big. Actually, I think they should be trying to buy big because they have a Mitch Marner. I think they're going to end up buying soft because I don't think they're going to be willing to spend the first-round pick. I think they should be going for a Brock Nelson. Which is going to cost them a first round pick. And I think that they're end up going to be trading for a Yanni Gord instead, which is probably going to only cost a second round pick. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are a little bit skeptical to move that first round pick. Now, I think as I've heard on some of the podcasts I've heard, if you can get Brock Nelson with an extension, I think that is worth a first round pick. But we'll see. I mean, we'll absolutely see. I think Toronto Maple Leafs need to buy. Though absolutely, they're in the buyers category. I think they should be buying hard because they have Marner and Tavares, and let's say both of them walk. It frees up a ton of cap space, but that's all the more reason why you should have bought this at this trade deadline so that you can sign the guy come up to July 1st and have that team control. So, Edmonton Oilers, you have Connor McDavid. You should be a hard buyer, absolutely. Especially in the standings, you're just only person you're behind is the Vegas Golden Knights in your division. So to me, again, you still have to compete with the Dallas Stars eventually and the Winnipeg Jets as well. But Edmonton Oilers, you guys have 2 of the best players in the league. And mind you, that whole salary cap increase is completely gone because Leon Draisaitl goes from $8.5 million to $14 million, and that wipes out the $5 million cap space that you're going to be getting with the increase. And then guess what happens next year or next summer, not this summer, the next summer is Connor McDavid's up for a new extension. And so you need to show that you're committed to getting him to the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup finals again, like you did this past year, and show him that there's a place here for him to actually be able to win and compete every year or year in and year out. So Florida Panthers are hard buyers. We already know that because they just traded out a first round pick and Spencer Knight for Seth Jones. They're absolutely hard buyers. Love to see them doing that. Like I said, it's always fun to see big trades like that because you're like, oh, we don't see that one coming. But again, I think that was a phenomenal move. And of course, you have Matt Tkachuk, who just went on LTIR with this team as well. So you have a ton of cap space available in your for deadline cap space. You have $8.7 million because of his huge cap hit of 8.5, no 9.5. So again, he'll probably come around the playoffs, right? Mark Stone in it, right? Sorry, Mark Stone, getting so much hate on this, but it's tradition at this point. Again, usually a good move. I've had him come back at not fully healthy, but again, healthy enough to be able to playoffs. I can absolutely see that. They could be looking to a big ad. I mean, this would be a great time to pick up a guy like anyone you can, right? At a huge cap hit. I think I don't know who, again, we already saw them upgrade on their defensive core. Maybe get some in the bottom 6, maybe, but again, their bottom 6 is looking pretty good with you have like a Rodriguez, Lusterinen. I mean, Sam Bennett. I mean, maybe you end up keeping him as your own rental. Maybe we'll see. They're going to be buying hard. I'm curious on who else they try to acquire. Definitely be a backup goalie because Rieger is not it at all. So, especially Spencer Knight be moved out. So, Nashville Predators, hard sell, of course. Sell on everybody you can. I think that Nashville has a ton of prospects, the ability to be able to go far. They have 3 first-round picks this up and coming year in 2025, so they can use these to flip for guys, right? And players that they can use not just this year but next year. Again, they're not going to be going for the playoffs. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league right now. They have 49 points. They're third worst in the league. So to me, I think that Nashville just needs to own it. That hey, we're not good. We're gonna sell. We already saw them sell with Gustav Nyquist already going to the Minnesota Wild. But again, just selling some of your guys like I think Colton Sissons is one of the ones that you could also sell on. He's 31 years old, center. Again, you have Roman Yossi's out on IR right now. You could sell on like Andreas Englund. Like there's not a ton you can sell on, but you can move guys like a Marcia Show or like a Stamkos. That would be phenomenal. Marcia at 34 years old, if you can get a good chunk for him back, I think that'd be really good just because it has not been working out with him so far. Currently he only has, he has 45 points in 59 games, so he is working out better than he was at the start of the season. Starting to pick that up a little bit, but again, Steven Stamkos having, I think it was like 3 assists, 0 goals in the last 12 games, and he just scored on his own net recently on the empty netter. It's rough, man. It's rough in Nashville, so but hopefully we can then bounce back on that as well. Buffalo Sabres, hard sell. This is a culture thing right now, and I think it's about realizing like who are the best players, who are the untouchables. Dahlin, Benson, I'd say. I think Benson's like your long term. Tage Thompson, and that's really it. And I'd say Levi. Your goalies are pretty good. Levi and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Even Levi's tradable, I'd say. But a Bowen Byram wants to be a number 1 D. He's not going to be that with Rasmus Dahlin on this team. So you trade a Bowen Byram for a good player. If you can do a Bowen Byram and a Dylan Cousins for a Elias Pettersson, I think that's easy money. That he basically makes the money work. And I think both teams get the players that they're looking for, right? Buffalo gets a high caliber player, and then Vancouver still gets a center back as well as a D-man. Now, Bowen Byram's not going to be a number 1 D-man, especially with Hronik and Quinn Hughes being there, but that is an option that they can absolutely use. Extend him, and now he's back in the Western Conference. Of course, Colorado tried to get rid of him, couldn't do it. So, to me, I think hard sell, bring in some good veteran leadership and some guys, again, with term, like an Elias Pettersson, who can lead this team. I think Rasmus Dahlin and Elias Pettersson getting along, that'd be phenomenal. You get the hard-nosed guy like Dahlin, who's gonna stick up for a Pettersson, and I think Pettersson, who gets a change of scenery, get out of the Vancouver market and some of the mental issues that he's dealing with. Probably needs a little more palm trees, and unfortunately, Buffalo's not going to provide that, but it's okay. It's just a change of scenery is going to be huge for him. So, Ottawa Senators, both soft buy, soft sell. To me, they're in that mix again with the Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is just that mushy middle. They're 2 points out of a playoff spot with a game in hand. So they can absolutely be taking over that spot from the Detroit Red Wings with a regulation win. And so what we're seeing is that they could kick them out of that spot. And to me, like, just show these guys that, hey, you guys earned this. You guys worked hard this year. And there's not a ton of sell off. I think maybe you move up David Perron because he just hasn't been working out here. You got to figure out if you want to keep Claude Giroux or you want to sell him to let him go to a Stanley Cup contender if he doesn't think he can do it in Ottawa, right? Maybe he wants to. You got to figure out if you want to resign him. He's 37, but he is an assistant captain on the team, so you definitely need that leadership with a young team like with Ottawa has. Again, that's why you bring in a David Perron as well. You can't trade a Nick Cousins. Maybe you can get something for a Travis Hamonic, but overall, like there's a couple pieces you want to move, like a Jacob Bernard Docker. But overall, like I think this team's got a lot of good pieces, and you don't want to sell too hard, right? You want to buy a little, show that you have confidence in the team, but sell little pieces off that maybe aren't going to be part of your long-term future. So Ottawa Senators, both soft buy and soft sellers. So San Jose Sharks, hard sell. Man, there's a lot. The sellers are starting to come out, by the way. You're starting to see. These are also my opinions and also what I'm seeing. It's always my opinion though, right? Because it's my video. But anyway, so with the San Jose Sharks, sell. I mean, selling some of the guys again who are not going to be part of here long term, right? So you have a Luke Cunnin, you can get a good piece from him, but I think he may even be worth trying to re-sign. A Clem Costin, I think a lot of teams with an RFA controlled big guy who can fight, not put up a ton of points. I mean, so far this year he has 6 points in 28 games. He's been has been playing, as not been in the lineup fully. But maybe a Nico Sturm, he's 29 years old. Maybe you're not going to give him that type of long contract or anything. You have a great young guys that are coming up in the system, like an Eklund, a Will Smith, Colin Graff, of course, Celebrini as well. And supposedly maybe you can get a good piece for Jake Wallman, who is this year and next year. Mario Ferrara is supposedly up for trade as well. So there's a lot of good pieces. Again, you're in the middle of a rebuild. Sell the pieces that are not going to be here long term, right? Pieces that people are willing to trade high picks for, that you can use either to get more players that are younger, or draft people that are going to be part of your long term plan. So San Jose Sharks, sell it, baby. Dallas Stars, I'd say they're going to soft buy at this point. I'm going to move Florida down to soft buy as well, because I think that they're going to soft buy on a backup goalie. I don't know if they're going to do much more than what they are doing with Seth Jones. And that's the same mentality that I have around with Dallas Stars, is that the Dallas Stars are already did their big trade with picking up Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci. So they picked up a right-handed defenseman and a third line center for them. They also have some cap space with Tyler Seguin still being out, and he might not even be back until the playoffs. So to me, I think why not try and utilize him, especially with your captain J.E. Benn being in the last year of his contract. I mean, you have a Matthew Shane who's on a 1-year contract, right? I'm getting Dadonov, Granlund. These are all big UFAs, right? You have a Cody Ceci who's UFA. So like, there's a lot of cap space that frees up next year. I think you have. I mean, next year if you re-sign none of these guys just in your forward group, they're going to have $21 million freed up, right? That doesn't include addition to the forward group, and then there's $6 million on the defense. You're going to have upwards of like $26 million to play with. I think you go for it, and then even next year you can buy hard in the free agency. Again, you're probably going to bring back a guy like J.E. Benn, which take up a good chunk of your cap. But again, this team is in flux in a good way, because they have some young players like Jason Robertson, who's only 25. Like, these guys are competitive now, and they're playing really well. And to me, when you look at the Dallas Stars with their great goaltending that they're getting, especially how well they're doing, they're second in the Western Conference, just behind the Winnipeg Jets. I think that's absolutely a team they're 7-2-1 their last 10 as well, with a plus 48 goal differential. They're second in the Western Conference. Again, I think this is a team that's going to continue to work hard, sell big for the farm, because they have a good team around them. They have good pieces, and they're relatively cheap. And they locked up their goaltender long-term, Ottinger. So I think, hey, this is going to be a good team. It's going to be good for a long time. Keep at it and keep showing that you're a force to be reckoned with. And let's see if you can knock off the Winnipeg Jets, which would be crazy. So Utah Hockey Club. To me, I kind of want to put them in the both, because they're kind of in that St. Louis. So to me, I kind of want to put the St. Louis Blues, because they're kind of in the mix too. I'm going to put, because the St. Louis Blues and Ottawa or Utah are both only a point apart from each other. To me, they should be they're kind of in this mix in the Western Conference, because maybe you can knock off. There's only one team, right? The Vancouver Canucks, that is capable of reaching. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche gap between the Vancouver Canucks in wildcard 1 and 2 is 7 points, which is a hard gap to try and fill if you're the Calgary Flames, the St. Louis Blues, the Utah Hockey Club. In the case of the Utah Hockey Club, I'm going to say both. I think you should buy a little bit, because you have some confidence in the guy. If you can confidently think you can take out the Canucks. To me, with the Utah though, they have they picked up some great guys like a Marino and a Sergachev in the offseason. But again, you lost them so early in the season that it kind of derailed you at first. So there's a couple guys you can sell on, like a Bukestad and a Kerfoot, get some pieces, like a little bit of pieces. But I think there's a little bit of confidence in some of these guys, like that you can trade for, right? Like, so I don't know. I think with the I think I'm gonna actually change this. I think I'm taking St. Louis Blues, putting back in sellers, and I'm looking at Utah as well. I just don't think that they're on the upswing yet. I think they're still coming out of that rebuild. I think Calgary wants to take is already starting to make some of the big moves, and we've seen it already. They're making the big moves in season that they want to actually be good. But now, to me, I'm just not confident that Utah can pull it out. I think they soft sell again, like I said, on a Dukestad and a Kerfoot, and then you cut again next year. You plan on being better, and you take the big swings, a little bit bigger swings, and really moving that playoff spot, and hopefully you see a team like Colorado Avalanche. Maybe there's they're making a lot of moves. Maybe someone takes a slip, but I think it's just they're not ready to make that big jump yet. And again, we haven't seen it like who wants to move to Utah yet. We haven't seen any big free agents sign there yet. So hopefully we can see the culture of Utah come out and see how excited people are to move there. If not, maybe there are weird destinations about like a Carolina where they have to kind of trade for guys. I'm curious. I think you just soft sell. You're still trying to figure out who you are as a team being Utah. You're not the Arizona Coyotes anymore. We have to figure yourself out. So last team on this list is the Minnesota Wild. We're talking about there. To me, I think you soft buy. I mean, we already saw them soft buy with they spent a second round pick for a Gustav Nyquist who worked out really well for them when they did the trade last time. He's a great defenseman or defensive forward as well. And there's just, you do some soft buy because of the position you're in. Mind you, they're in the third spot in the Centrals with 74 points. And it looks like no one's going to knock them off because the only person that can knock them out of that spot is the Vancouver Canucks with 65 points, who are 9 points back. Again, I think that Minnesota got a good jump already and that they're not going to be knocked off or anything. But you have some major injuries in a Ryan Hartman who's suspended. Guys that are out. Ryan Hartman who's suspended, who got it reduced, by the way. I think it was like from 10 games to 8 games. Joel Eriksson X out on IR. Kirill Kaprizov's on LTIR as well. And so to me, I think you kind of consider, hey, is it the time to go full swing? Probably not. And one of the biggest reasons you don't go full swing is because this is the last year of the major cap hits of the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter contracts. And so what you're seeing is that it's going from $14.7 million to $1.6 million. You're basically freeing up $13 million in cap space for next year. So I think this summer, I think you big game hunt, right? You give Kirill Kaprizov that big contract. Maybe you try and sign a Rantanen, sign a Marner, like go for the big contract. So you're going to have all this cap space freed up. And this doesn't even include what's going to happen when the cap actually goes up and everything, because we have not solidified the actual number yet. So to me, I think this is going to be a huge, huge deal. I'm really excited with the Minnesota Wild and what they're going to do this season. I think they're going to shock the world. So let me know what your thoughts are on my tier list and everything. I appreciate you guys sticking around long term. I love it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.